All right, YouTube, Repo Man 64. Just got off work, got home. Um, while I was at work, I was speaking to a gal that was closing the store with me. She's a Catholic. And I asked her, are you ready for the rapture? And she's like, I don't know. I think I am. I go to church and I said, do you read your Bible? She said, "No, I don't read my Bible. I never read the Bible." She's like, "That's what the guy does for me up at the front of the church." I'm like, "You trust that guy?" I said, "And you've never opened the Bible?" She's like, "You do?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've literally spent thousands of hours studying the Bible. How else are you going to know the things that you should know as a Christian?" And to clarify before I start this, because I know some people get testy sometimes. And I want you to know that just because you don't know something that somebody else does know does not equate to not being saved. I've never said that at all. That's not true. Everybody has a piece of the puzzle. We all have different aspects that we research and look into the Bible. And it's amazing. I've seen people just going back and forth between Luke, Mark, and John and Matthew and just find things that I'd never heard of. And I'm just like, wow, what a gift that person has. So this doesn't equate to that. But I have to ask the question, if you love Jesus and he is the head of your world and he's everything to you, would it be a good statement or a true statement to state that you should know his birthday? You should know when he was born. I've been hearing that he was born on 9/11. Now, 9/11 was the first day of creation. It was not Tishri 1. It was not trumpets. That happened on Elul 28 when God created time on a Wednesday. The Thursday became Tishri 1. That's the Feast of Trumpets. Could he have been born on the Feast of Trumpets? Now, I'm going to attempt to stay away from Gregorian dates and stick with biblical dates so as to at least understand the truth about when Jesus was born. Could he have been born on Tishri 1? The answer is no. He was circumcised and named on the eighth day. What happens after trumpets? What's the very next feast? It's the Feast of Atonement or the Day of Atonement. Why would anybody think that Jesus was born on trumpets when 8 days later he gets named and circumcised when there is no event biblically that we can find on the eighth day after trumpets? The very next event is atonement. Then to say that Jesus was born on atonement and then circumcised and named 8 days later, that also doesn't fit because 5 days after atonement is Tabernacles. Jesus, in fact, said he came to tabernacle with us. Tabernacles in this area of the calendar is the only feast on the eighth day. It's 7 day feast, but on the eighth day is the great eighth day. And that great eighth day, I will show you, is October the 7th, the day Israel was attacked. It's Shemini Atzeret. They somehow knew this accurately in 2023, but then just put it aside like it was irrelevant because they follow this sliver moon, the new moon, the full moon. They're now going into this concept that the Julian calendar was the one we should have stayed on all the time. The problem with that is the Julian calendar is the calendar Jesus was using. Wasn't using sliver moons or full moons or any of those moons. He was using the Julian calendar. But it went wrong, and they recognized that by the year 1582, and they brought out the Gregorian calendar to fix it. That's all they did. There was nothing nefarious about it. The Julian calendar kept adding time to the calendars, adding time as they went forward. And the Gregorian calendar recognized this problem and eliminated 10 days. And still today, there's keeping track of the Julian calendar. And to date, it is 13 and a half days off. And they're attempting to use it to say that trumpets now is moved to October the 7th. October the 7th is Shemini Atzeret. It is the great eighth day. It is the day Jesus was named and circumcised. It is not trumpets. Now, all that being said, what do I think Joshua was? And I have pondered this and thought about this, and I've talked with Brett from God's Land Down Under and all my friends. And the best that we can understand what just happened is Joshua was used by God to wake the world up. This was no accident. This was huge. What happened? What happened was a rapture date was brought about for September the 23rd, which for me, September the 24th would have been atonement, very close to atonement. It was not trumpets. I knew it wasn't trumpets, and I made videos saying the only problem I have with this is it's not trumpets. Mathematically, with no emotion involved, tabernacles and trumpets has to fall on on Tishri 1. And if the sun comes up and you give it a name from the head of the year of Nisan 1, you'll see that there is no way that trumpets could have landed on Tishri 10, which is what, in essence, they did by making it work out that way. You simply count back and see where Nisan 1 falls, and you'll see the error of that idea. And it gets worse if you try to use a Julian calendar. With all that being said, yes, Joshua was used of God. Joshua is not an antichrist, false prophet, none of that stuff. He was used of God on purpose. I said in my last video, which caused an uproar because people are testy and sensitive, that did God lie to Noah? On October the 25th, in the year 1536, God told Noah, I am going to flood the earth in exactly, when God speaks, he speaks in exact terms. He doesn't speak in generalities. I am going to flood this planet. On that day, God told Noah, get into the ark, for in yet 7 days, I'm going to flood the earth. Imagine his surprise when of course, he went into the ark. He always obeyed God. He built an ark. He goes inside and he has to sit there for 7 days. What's the point? What's the purpose? A passage has to be fulfilled. The mockers must mock. They must. So no, Joshua was not a false prophet. Joshua was used of God to bring out a date. What happens 7 days after Noah goes into the ark? The ark door is shut and it begins to rain. What happens? Now, this is my opinion mathematically. And again, it's just what I think it is. 7 days after Joshua is told that the rapture is going to happen, 1 billion percent, he said it was going to happen. Forget about that. He called it trumpets. He said it was going to happen. Could that have been a 7-day warning? On September 30th, or Tishri 15, Jesus was born. It's Tabernacles. There are only 3 feasts in which God tells mankind that they must attend: Passover, Pentecost, and Tabernacles. He doesn't talk about trumpets. He doesn't talk about atonement. Jesus' first spilling of his blood happened on the great eighth day after Tabernacles. That is October the 7th. That's the first time he spilled his blood for us, when he was circumcised. So I'm going to go through the pictures really quick. Spinebreaker made and I don't know if you saw it, I made a community post about it, a DNA strand of all of these different timelines and calendars, showing how it is possible that God is using all of them to bring us all to a conclusion, to all to this period of time, to allow you to make an intelligent decision on whether or not you want to accept that free cup of salvation and drink that free cup. Like Brett from God's Land Down Under says, the only thing you can offer Jesus in return, it's not a baptism, it's not being a better person, it's not donating money, It's nothing. It's an empty cup. That's the only thing you can give him back because he did it all on the cross. There is nothing lacking. Knowing which calendar to use, knowing which timeline to use, it doesn't matter because the salvation is in the Lord. All I'm doing here today is to ask you to also watch sunset on the 29th in Israel time, becoming September the 30th, all the way through September the 30th. I don't know what time Jesus was born. I think it was 9 p.m., but mathematically it tells me it's 9 p.m. But I don't know for certain. But I do know that he was born on Tishri 15, on Tabernacles, on September the 30th. So let me go into the pictures here real quick. Now, Sister Sandy contacted me and put Kevin's DNA strand onto her website. It's her website. None of us dictate to what she puts on there, but she wanted Kevin's Spinebreaker's DNA strand on there. You can go in there and look at it. It's actually pretty cool what he put together. Kevin says that because of the argument between Sliver Moon and Full Moon, that God's tired of their feast days. He's tired of their new moons, their full moons. He's tired of all of that, and he's going to vomit it out. He doesn't want anything to do with any of it. Kevin, Spinebreaker, has an idea that the rapture would happen when the moon was exactly half. That actually happens the night of September the 29th. So if you want to check out Kevin's a DNA strand, you can go to, let me zoom in here so you can see it, endtime-studies.com, and you can look at his DNA strand. I thought it was actually pretty cool. So the shofar is blown on the Feast of Tabernacles. Could we consider this the last trump, the last time the trumpet is blown for the fall festivals of, sorry, secret broadcast Kate Bug, the fall festivals of trumpets, atonement, and tabernacles? Could this be the last trump, which will happen on September the 30th, on Jesus's birthday, Tishri 15? There are only 3 that we're required to appear before the Lord. Passover, we were all watching, thinking maybe this was the rapture day. Pentecost, we went nuts trying to figure it out when it was, and you know, all the different calendars, and we watched and watched until it went away. And here we are coming up on Tabernacles. They're still stretching trumpets out, but they're still looking in the right area. They're still looking in the right area of when Tabernacles actually happens. Sister Sandy did my timeline, and I think it's awesome. And as you know, my favorite all-time rapture date is Tabernacles, the day Jesus was born. Jesus was born on Tishri 15, September the 30th. What I like about this is it also matches, which I didn't know until I put it all together. I'm like, that's funny. That's 7, 7, and 6. Jacob worked for 7 years. Jacob was 77 years old when he left his brother Esau. He ran, he fled because he stole his birthright. He made a deal with Laban that he wanted to marry Rachel. He worked for 7 years, and then instead of getting Rachel, he got Leah. He was 84 years old. 84 years old when he got, and a week later he got Rachel, so he got both of them when he was 84. 7 years later, when he was 91, he had finished his 7-year term of working. This is the tribulation of working for and to complete the payment for getting both Leah and Rachel. And then he also worked another 6 years until he was 97. He worked for a total of 20 years from the age of 77 to the age of 97. So my all-time favorite Rapture Day will be the day Jesus was born, because he in fact came to tabernacle with us, and he came to tabernacle with us on September 30th in the year 3 BC. We, because of that 0 year, will call it 4 BC, but it's actually 3 BC. Until when? 30 AD, until March 30th of 30 AD. Because of that 0 year, it looks like 31. It's very hard to explain, but it's actually there. If you were to do the math, if you just put it into Google and say, how much time is there between September 30th of 3 BC and March 30th of 30 AD, it will tell you 33 and a half years. That's how long Jesus was here. So this is my favorite one, is line number 3, but I think the two witnesses will be here for 3.5 days, getting set up, going to 7-Eleven and getting a Slurpee, whatever they're doing for 3.5 days, renting an apartment. I think somebody emailed that to me. They're doing stuff, but I think they're going to actually kick off their time on October the 3rd. And October the 3rd still has 3 out of 3 symmetrical events, meaning it starts on an event, it goes to an event, and it goes to an event. So I think that's the purpose of why Lazarus died when he did on March 16th, because 1,260 days later, if you go on the timeline number 4, that they are dead for 3.5 days. Lazarus died on March 16th, right there. They're dead for 3.5 days, and they are raised up in the sight of everyone and go up in front of everyone. Lazarus was raised in front of everyone, and everybody saw Lazarus be raised. It's absolutely symmetrical, and it makes sense. And I'm not saying that it has to be that way, but March 16th to March 20th looks like when the two witnesses are finished their task. And 10 days later, on March 30th at 3 p.m., the day Jesus died on the cross, Satan will go into the temple and proclaim himself to be God. The temple will be completed at some point. Remember, it says during tumultuous times, they will complete the temple. It will be completed at some point in these 1,260 days. I have January 11th, or is it 22nd or the 11th? I don't recall. When they complete it, I believe I've heard they can put it together in a matter of weeks. They have all the pieces ready to set in. It would take them a matter of weeks to get it complete. But at any rate, the two witnesses are the number that we're told. That the Bible doesn't give us numbers how long the Antichrist will be here. It doesn't give us numbers how long the temple will be taken to. It will take to be built. It only gives us the numbers for the two witnesses, and it tells us that Satan will go in. He's going to go in on March 30th, because ironically, March 30th matches my timeline in 2029. Somehow, some way, Passover will fall in 2029 on March 30th. Okay. Like I said, October the 25th in 1536, God told Noah, in 120 years, I'm going to flood the earth. On October the 25th in the year 1656, 120 years later, Noah enters the ark, and he sits there while they're throwing a party outside, mocking him, shooting spitballs at him, everything they're doing. And on October the 31st, God shuts the door and the flood begins. And they start banging on the door. Let us in. Oh, now you want in. Now you want in. And that's what we're going to see. I think that Joshua was used of God to bring us a warning, because we've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. And I've been doing this a long time. I've never seen anything like this. Mainstream media picked this up, and the whole world is either mocking it or hating it, calling him a false prophet. They're doing all kinds of things. And I simply think God used him to see the hearts of man. And there will be no question when you're left behind why you were left behind. This will confirm it. From October the 7th in 20, let me I was going to put on my glasses, but I can enlarge. October the 7th, 2023, when Israel was attacked, it is exactly 723 days, 723, September the 29th. I wanted to show you this again real quick, just so you know, this is not, Feast of Dedication is not speaking about Hanukkah, because it says it right here. And the feast, 7 days, and on the 23rd day of the 7th month. Hanukkah is in the, is it 9th month? It's two, no, in the 8th month. It is 2 months or 1 month after all of this happens. Let me think. Yeah, it is exactly. I'll have to look at that in a second, but it is. I think it's 30 days out. No, Hanukkah would be October, November. I'll look at it because I do know the flood happens exactly 30 days after the first day of Jesus' birthday of Tabernacles, and then Noah is shut in the ark on the same day as Shemini Atzeret. But you saw that. It's the 7th month. It is not the 8th. There's my crayon one. Sister Sandy fixed it. All right. Where are we at right now? This is why I had to get out here. Just to say, let's watch. Let's watch and see, because maybe, just maybe, the year does start on March 17th after the Day of Equal Parts. Just maybe you're all looking over here for October the 7th when it's actually a week earlier on September the 30th. Just maybe. I think it's a good idea, at least for all of us, to watch this day as well. Jesus was born on Tabernacles. There is no event after Tishri 1 on the 8th day, which is right here. There is no event where Jesus could have been named and circumcised. Here, Jesus was born on Tabernacles. You have to add the 4 minutes a day. It's a headache, but he was actually born at some point on September the 30th, and he was named and circumcised at some point on October the 7th. And that's the 8 days. There is nothing else over here that would give us 8 days. The only other thing that they continue to try to use for that is Hanukkah, and you can't. The Feast of Dedication is Hanukkah, but I clearly showed you it's in the 7th month. Hanukkah here is Kislev, which is the 9th month. Heshvan is the 8th month, right? Yeah, Heshvan's the 8th month. Kislev is the 9th month. Noah sits at the ark door right here on October the 24th, which is exactly 30 days, September the 24th, which is exactly 30 days from when it's 30 days and then 1 day. You go 30 days and then the next day. And then that's when you have the flood. This is when Noah goes in the ark and sits. This is the date the flood begins. This is also the day that Adam sinned right here. He was left in the garden until after Hanukkah, and he was removed from the garden on Tevet 1, the 4th month, according to prior to the flood, prior to Exodus 12. Is it Exodus 12? When God changed the head of the year. This is December the 16th, but Tevet 1. By the time we get down here, it gets way out. By the time you get over here, you have 2 days on the same day. March 15th and 16th are the same day right here, the day Lazarus died. So I wanted to get that out to you. Let's at least watch for this. They are looking at October 7th and the 8th. They are calling it trumpets, but it is actually the day Jesus was named and circumcised. Tishri 23, like we just read, the 7th month and 23rd day. But because of this 4 minutes a day, it's actually October the 8th. So we keep that in mind. The great 8th day, or maybe I said that wrong. It is actually October the 7th, sorry, because it is here plus 13 hours, October the 7th, the great 8th day. Jesus was born on September the 30th. He was named and circumcised on October the 8th. Jesus was born on Tishri 15. He was named and circumcised on Tishri 23, just like we read in the Bible. All right, I think I've covered everything. I wanted to do that real quick just to show you. I've heard some other people saying that This is not the Jubilee year. You're not counting your Jubilee accurately. The trumpets are blown. It says it right there in Leviticus. They are blown in the 49th year, and the Jubilee is the 50th year. And people are trying to say, yeah, that means it's next year. No, trumpets were blown last year on September the 24th, heralding in the Jubilee year, which began on March 16th. And we'll go in 2025, and we'll go until March 16th of 2026. Mathematically, exactly 3,430 years from the date Joshua enters into Israel. And how do I know he entered in 1406? Because that's yet another mathematical equation. From creation to Joshua entering is exactly 53 Jubilee cycles of 49. So I know he entered in 1406. People are like, what if it was 1405? 14... Mathematically, it couldn't be. Mathematically, creation had to begin on September the 11th in 4004. Adam was born or created with age on September the 16th, 4003. And you go exactly to here. What is that? 53 Jubilee cycles, and it lands right here on 1406 BC. And then from 1406 BC, you count forward 70 Jubilee cycles, and you come here and you land in 2025, what we call 2025. So no, it can't go to 2026. Mathematically, it just can't go to 2026. I think I've shown you everything. Yeah, this is what they're trying to say is they just blew trumpets. No, they did that last year. This year, and this is the order. It doesn't mean whether or not they blew trumpets. I'm aware they blew them this year, but we are now in 2025. Mathematically, this is the Jubilee year, 2025, 5785, March 17th to March 16th of 2025 to 2026. We are in the Jubilee year. This is the last Sabbath. This is the very last Sabbath. And then we commence on to here. So I think I've shown everything. Just keep your eyes and your mind open. Look at September 29th at sunset in Israel. At some point after that to sunrise. I don't know exactly when Jesus was born. I think it was 9 p.m. That's mathematically what it appears to be, but I'm still dealing with those 12 hours that are off. So I don't know exactly. Is it 9 p.m.? Is it 9 a.m.? I don't know. The math is showing me sunset of the 29th. Other than that, I don't know. So we'll keep watching. And if that passes, I'm going to look at Shemini Atzeret, the first day Jesus shed his blood on October the 7th, just like the rest of the world's looking at it, to see if, to call it trumpets. So, all right. We will chat with you all again later.